America. It is I, Jay Sims, the Lion, and we are broadcasting live and international wherever you are. I don't care if you're on the island, the peninsula, the archipelago, the plateau, the mountaintop, the flatlands, the savanna, the beach, the mountain range, wherever you find yourself, we are here. Right now, Saturday, the Booker Man, Jay Sims, the Lion, and none other than Doc. How you doing this morning, big brother?
Man, I'm all right, big bro. I'm all right, man. I mean, wherever you at, the only reason you shouldn't be here is because your internet ain't working. And even then, you can come back and watch it later.
Watch it later. Or if you caught in one of them crazy, wild Savannah storms, you know, that just knock out all your power, you might not be here. Because it could happen. But I digress. You know, we still gonna give you the show. Watch it later when the power come back on. They know what's going out in Savannah, especially old Savannah, so they come right on out there and fix you right on up. They know what's coming.
Bruh. Yeah, that was me this week, man. Y'all, book study couldn't go through. Man, we supposed to go on at 7, 6:30, 6 o'clock. You know, the power went out and ain't came back on to about 8 or 9. I couldn't even energize the laptop to come on and do the book study. I was ready to, man, because those 2 chapters right there.
Those 2 chapters kind of sneaky. They like little sneaky good. You know, they got a little, you know, they little real subtle techniques, some real subtlety going on in them chapters there. I like them.
Them was good, man. So I can't wait till we get on.
Yeah, we're gonna come bring them back Thursday. Got to bring back the subtlety in life. People, you know, that's almost like finessing. You know, it's a little. Them a couple of finesse for my finessers out there. If you are known finesser, you might want to check on these chapters. Hey. It's either going to teach you how to improve your technique, or might show you a technique you don't know. You can finesse for the good. Now you don't have to finesse for the bad all the time. Look, you can finesse to accomplish good things too.
I do it all the time, and when I teach new teachers how to deal with unruly kids,
finesse.
That's them. Those all the techniques I teach them.
Yes, sir. Yeah, those some good little low-key, little finesse techniques in those chapters, man. I have used successfully and have been used on me.
Yeah.
I can say successfully. So you might want to check those out on Thursday. Anyway, it's Saturday. It's the Booker Man. We're here to talk about some things that matter to us. This week, we talking toxic masculinity and them damn hoochie daddy shorts.
Man.
Everybody seem to be on that thing this week. But look, Doc, what we got for him, Doc? What's going on?
Ooh, just what you said, man. The toxic masculinity, which we got a lot to say about this post. You can find some good material on TikTok. It ain't just for the kids. You can find some good stuff on there.
Yep.
And I happened across this video here where this gentleman is talking about toxic masculinity, and he's talking about toxic masculinity in the Black community, which I guess when we get into it, we can discuss it more, man. And then these hoochie daddy shorts, man, look, somebody's mama, I know you out there. We ain't got no pics. We ain't got no pics. People who wear hoochie daddy shorts, they not tuning in to the Booker Man. Look, they trying to be Metro and all that other stuff. Look, we need to get on. And hopefully our special guest be able to come on if he got the message in time. If not, if he say he want to do it, we're going to do a whole nother show.
We'll bring a whole other show. The opinion of this gentleman right here might be.
You know what? You know what? Hey, pizza boost our viewers. I ain't messing with her. I'll tell you what. She first lady of the Booker Man. Look at here. Pizza viewership. You know what? Anyway. I tell you what. You get some for your boy, and y'all can share that in the house.
Hey. Don't put no ideas out there, man. Don't put no ideas. You want to get somebody in a rough situation.
Oh, boy. Hey, long as ain't no picture on. Man, you know what? I ain't messing with her no more. I ain't. Don't be scared to put them up. Look. You ever seen somebody that was used to work in the field or work outside, and they wear a muscle shirt or take off their shirt without sleeves, and it'd be like this sharp line right there. It'd be real light and real dark. That's how my legs gonna look, because I ain't exposing nothing. I ain't exposing nothing. Oh
I
man, but anyway,
ain't do.
boy,
But look, be honest though, we'll talk about when we get to it. Let's
yeah.
go to toxic masculinity. 'Cause I got
All
a
right.
couple of varying opinions on the hoochie daddy situation. But
Ooh. Yeah.
let's
All right then, man. Here you go. I'm gonna go ahead and add this to the screen right here. All right. So here we go, man. This gentleman here, we make it bigger. Toxic masculinity conversations are toxic. Let's listen to what he got to say now. How you want to do this, man? Are we going to listen to it all the way through? It's about 2 minutes, or do you want to stop it?
no, we gonna stop and go with it because I think we need to break down some of it as it goes.
All right, then let's go. Let me change this where we to the side so that way we can stop it. All right, then here we go. Let me know if you can hear.
Masculinity or conversations about toxic masculinity. Absence of a definition of black manhood to me is toxic. Because with all the people that described about their experience with toxic masculinity, is really an absence of masculinity in your life. And so a lot of people talked about single parent homes and things like that. And I'm born and raised in Baltimore City, in a neighborhood called Down the Hill. And what you see is that these boys are in desperate need of a manhood definition. And you can't build a manhood definition off of negation. This is what manhood is not.
Bruh, I should have been stopped there, but yeah, let's go. Go ahead.
Right there is very important right there. Where he said, because not only with manhood, but anything, you can't build a definition off of negation. You just can't do it.
That's right.
You have to give an example, and define what something is. You can't just say, "Oh, it's not this."
Right. Yeah, they say
Because
what it's not.
You leave too much. Yeah, you leave too much room for what it could be.
Man, you know what I think? I think, well, two things. One, I think that men have not been able to define what masculinity is because everybody is telling them what it is. And also, I believe that the stereotypes from the 80s and the 90s, people are cutting and pasting that on all the men. And people don't even say this stuff anymore. You know what I'm saying? They don't even do this stuff anymore. But they always say, yeah, you know what y'all men always say, don't do this or that. And that's not true. Nobody even say the things that people say we say.
Right. Okay, first off, yes. The world has changed a lot in the last 20 or 30 years. A lot of the rules and the things that applied in the 80s and 90s don't apply today. Even though that's when, men our age, we grew up in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
But a lot of those things don't apply today. We have an entire generation of people starting in our years and moving forward who learn totally different gender roles than everybody before us. I came up, the women that came up with me came up with the expectation that they were going to work and have full-time jobs versus the generation before us, those women didn't. So
that's true.
So everything is constantly changing. I'm only saying that's the thing that's constantly changing. However, the overall expectation of men hasn't changed. The what's the top one? Provide.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed. And it doesn't matter how much money a woman makes, she still expects a man to be a provider.
Provide and protect.
Right. That's just what it is. So that hadn't changed, but I think what he's saying that we oftentimes go, you hear you ain't a real man because of this. This ain't a real man, don't do that. Real man don't do this. Real man. We rarely ever hear or see expressly defined what a real man, quote unquote real man, which is already a toxic ass term in my opinion.
I don't like that. That's the thing that'll set me off in a minute.
What, the real man terminology?
Yep.
I agree. Yep. It's you would never hear somebody say the same thing as a woman. A real woman does this, but you oftentimes hear people say, "Oh, a real man is will or won't be doing this." So it's kind of a setup for failure from the jump, because what one family or one group of people may require from a man can be totally different to another person or group of people.
Exactly, because different environments require different things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like a father and a husband living in the hood, in the center, in the roughest neighborhood, he got to be way different than the one that's living in the suburbs. He
Right.
got to be, because the environment not the same. But
Correct.
this is what I'm gonna say to toxic masculinity, and I can't stand it. Well, one thing is that there's no term called toxic femininity. It exists, but what I have observed is that, and this is the most unfair, dangerous thing out there. They say that men are toxic and masculinity is toxic, but, and not to make this about women, but this one, I got to kind of go here to make the point. Not all women, because my wife don't do this, but a lot of the ones you see, they behave like toxic men. They take on the traits of the thing they say they don't like. So they do the same things as toxic men. So I believe it should just be toxic people.
Yeah, I agree. I think what's odd about toxic masculinity, people say the term toxic masculinity is the same traits that people determine as toxic masculinity are the traits that make men successful.
Yeah.
You have to have that competitive drive. You know, the men with the most testosterone are the men that become the most powerful most of the time. You know, it's a fine line when you're trying to say what's toxic masculinity and what's not, because the same thing that you call toxic masculinity is we'll have a man get up and go outside and go rent a bobcat and redo the earth in his backyard to have a beautiful backyard for him and his family.
Exactly.
But you want to call, you know, that same get up and go in another way can be described as toxic. It's almost as if the activity that a man is doing isn't one that in our culture that women approve of, is toxic.
Yeah. And you're right, man. You are so right. But the dangerous thing, and I don't remember if he even said this. He talked about the boys. You know, I'm big on standing up for our boys.
Yeah.
And they are missing that. They are being raised on someone else's definition of what a man is.
Right.
And the sad thing is, even if a lot of times when they have fathers in their lives, whatever training is instilled in them is erased as soon as they go home.
Well,
it is erased. I see it every day, man.
I think the biggest issue, it's funny, and I was gonna wait to say later in the video, but because the biggest problem is for men, the minute we achieve some kind of success, the men that are capable get away from the part of the community that needs the influence of men the most.
Okay, so let's go there then.
Yeah. Well, let it play. Well, go ahead.
Okay. Now no, I gotta say it. All right.
Go ahead.
Whose responsibility is that? Because why is it that every person, if you make something out yourself, you're supposed to take on additional responsibility for everybody else? It's like everybody must be a martyr. Everybody. But who signs up for that on purpose? You know what I'm saying? Because if you make yourself successful,
Right.
which involves a lot of hard work, dedication, and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
And if you have your own family, I'm not neglecting my own family to go back over there and try to help some other knuckleheads.
And honest to God, I don't think you should have to. Mm-hmm. However, or you should feel obligated to. That's a better word. I don't think you should feel obligated to. Mm-hmm. However, we know, you and I know from our life, it's absolutely needed and necessary.
It is.
You know more than most because of the field you work in.
Yeah.
Certain parts of our community desperately needs more male involvement.
Man. Now here's my solution for it. And this is a part of the biggest, my life's work. My life's work is that. And what it is I created this like 3-dimensional family change model. And basically what it is if you change the men in a community, then by their influence, they change everybody else.
Correct.
So I think that the focus should be on the men in the community. we tend to focus a lot on the girls and the boys and then the women. Well, actually, it's the girls, the women, then the boys. Yeah. But then they tend to not focus on the men. I think if you focus on the men, knowing how men are, if you pick that man up, straighten up his stance, you know, clean him off, make him feel good about himself and show him how to do stuff, then he influences those he comes in contact with. I think that's the quickest and fastest way to enact change in any community.
Listen, I agree wholeheartedly. That's the whole entire premise of what we both believe in. You know, we want to build stronger men, to build stronger families, to build strong communities. That's the whole concept of everything we do. But but the issue is, most of the time, myself included, you included, the men who are capable, you know, we get our family, we get our wife, our children, and whatever, however that you know, family unit looks, and we immediately take them to a place where provide, because part of our job is to protect. It's easier to protect in the suburbs than it is in the hood.
Look, man, I'm gonna tell you. I had a house over there on 34th and Atlantic.
Okay, you were dead in it.
I was there. Crackhead would come to the door every morning. Man, let me cut your grass. Let me wash your car. You got like an old T-shirt and a bucket. You know what I'm saying? The police then came around the house looking for folks cutting through in between the houses. My kids grew up there. Dog, when I lived on the corner and people was buying drugs right on the corner. So when a bump in the night comes up, and who got to check it out?
You.
Yeah, exactly.
Locked and loaded. Locked and loaded. And as your friend, I want you to be locked and loaded when you check it out.
Look, you know what they say? I was prayed up, boy. I tell you, but I'm saying I did. I moved my family out. We ain't never came back.
And I don't want you to. So that being said, in my opinion, you've done your job. You have done your job to help secure the safety of your family. You have worked hard as a man to put your family in a better situation where they have more opportunity and are safer.
Yeah.
Is there an obligation for you as a capable man to go back into the same type of community and try to teach others who are not your children how to be a man like you? Because most people would point to you and say, oh, that's a good man.
You know what? All right, here's the thing. They would point to you and say that's a good man. They say that with their words, but the actions show otherwise because of the things they instill is the total opposite of what we are. And I'm saying that from experience and working with these kids. The next question is, and if y'all want for context, go back on our show when we talked about young Dolph. How do you go back to the community?
Right.
How do you do that? Because when we talked about young Dolph, which that was a really good conversation, go on YouTube. You can go back and find it. You know, he never left the community. He stayed in there.
Right.
And we don't remember how he died or know what happened or, you know, the truth. But needless to say, he was in the hood and he got killed in the hood. And we came to the conclusion that maybe he should have reached out and touched him from a distance.
Okay, exactly. Which further state, you know, what I don't think he was obligated to be back in the hood. I personally think he shouldn't have been in the hood. And I don't think it's your obligation, not an obligation. Now, is it appreciated?
Don't know.
Is it something I would hope someone like yourself would do or like myself would do? Yes. There's a movie, 10,000 BC.
Okay, I remember that movie. Yeah.
Right. And he describes to the young kid, who his father was. And he says, some men draw a circle around themselves, and that circle includes their wife and their family.
Okay.
Other men draw a larger circle around themselves, and that circle includes their family and their brother's family and their sister's family and everybody they touch. Then there's certain men who draw a circle around themselves that is much, much bigger, that includes many, many more.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, your father was such a man. And he told him, you got to decide if that's the kind of man you're going to be.
Right.
And I think that's a question every man has to ask himself. I don't think any man is beyond the first circle. I think it's a man that's doing his job. He took his family, he put them in a circle, and he protected them.
Yeah.
If you are successful enough, or you have a way to reach out and touch your nieces and your nephews and your sisters and your brothers, great, that's cool. You're doing more than most. But for those other men who reach out and touch so many more, I don't think that can be an expectation or an obligation of all men.
Mm-mm.
But I do believe if we build more of the men who can just take care of their family, can just draw that circle around their family, we will, by the old Venn diagram, enough small circles to connect and add up to a bigger number.
It's a thing called, I want to say fractals.
Mm-hmm.
Fractals are small pieces of things that's just like the bigger piece.
Right.
If you fix the small circles and allow people to create the small circles, I think that's the biggest problem. And people are not allowed to create these circles. The blame has always been that these men don't want to make the circles.
Right.
They don't want to. But when the truth really is closer to, they don't want to make the circles the way I want to make the circle.
Right.
So they just don't. A lot of these young men, man, it's sad, but I understand. They walking away from everything.
Yeah.
They're just like, man, I ain't dealing with nothing no more.
Right.
The young men are cashing, bro, the young ones, young ones, 16, 17 years old, they done.
Watch this. So I recently saw something that said a lot of millennials and younger believe in it, have this idea that, oh, we all have to go and chase our own individual happiness. And that's we all agree with a woman, like we all agree with women or anybody that says, well, I had to go worry about me and look for my happiness. And people will say, oh yeah, you should do that. But that's okay for women. When men say things like, oh, I want to, if you a man and you get a divorce and they ask you why, oh, I had to worry about me and my own happiness. You sound crazy. So if you're a young man and you see that and hear, you know that at any time you're concerned about your own happiness, you wrong as a man. Then you say, okay, well, I'm not even gonna play in that game. I'm just gonna do me and only me from the jump, and that's it.
That's right. They
I'm washing my hands of that. You know what? I ain't gotta be no real man. I just be me by myself, do my own thing.
That's right.
And you end up with a bunch of solitary men, and a lot of women stuck trying to do the job of man and women, and they can't do it.
Well,
they're not supposed to have to.
That's happening though, is that these unreasonable expectations and the fact that when a young man decides to walk away, he is ridiculed and shamed because he made a decision for himself and that he won't do it the way that they want it done. I mean, if you want somebody to do something, you have to consider them. You know what I'm saying? We are humans. Men are not super, even though we may seem to be, but we're not. And every now and then, the way that men do things is not wrong. It's not. So, well, man, you want to keep on rolling on the video?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say to you anyway.
All right, let's go.
Not, but I won't ever tell you what black manhood is. Won't ever describe that to you. Won't ever train that in you. And so, for me, the definition, the toxic masculinity, is an important conversation. But what's more important is the definition of manhood. Because these boys around Baltimore City that are robbing and killing and hurting each other, they're striving to be a something. They striving to be a real nigga. They striving to talk. They striving to be men. And we as black men or professionals or whatever, we're not in the hoods enough training them in a definition of manhood. And that's just my opinion.
All right, hold on. I'm going to pause it right there, man. two issues I got with that. The first issue is that all of the attention is always in the hood, but nobody cares about the young man that's in the country. I find that happens across the board. Even the men that's in the country, they don't exist. And the reason why I know that to be true is, and again, this is connected to my life's work. You know, people in rural areas get no resources. It's hard for them to even get GEDs. And I know because I've tried to have men in rural areas help them get GEDs, and there's no resources for them. But in urban areas, you get everything. It's right there.
Well,
so what about them?
Why
is the focus on the hood so much?
Politics. We know that. We know the reason. The politics. The votes are where the people are.
Mm-hmm.
So people are always going to, wherever there's more people, that's where there's going to be more focus. Just like take the state of Georgia. Atlanta gets all the attention.
Yeah.
Because it's where everybody's 10 million people in the state of Georgia, 5 million of them live in Atlanta MSA.
That's true.
So, you know, that 5 million in that small area, you know, actual space-wise gets more attention than the 5 million spread out all over the rest of the mass of the state.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the hood gets more attention. But I think for black people, especially for black people, when we speak in terms of the hood, we basically saying people without. No matter if it's the country hood or the city hood, we just talking about people without. When we say the hood, we're largely talking about the massive number of underfinanced or lower income single parent homes in our cities and countries. That's what we're talking about when we say the hood.
Okay.
You know, and I think that term has gotten lost and misconstrued or whatever you want to call it by saying the hood. We throw it out. We really throw it out too liberal, because a lot of places that we call quote unquote hood aren't even really hood. It's a lot of parts of Savannah where people yell and say, "Oh, this is a hood." Bro, them single family homes. That ain't no hood. Those are single family homes. And largely, people that are there are messed up because decisions they made, not because it's available to them. They work the same job that people in the quote unquote hood work the same job. For both people in the household doing the same thing that two people in Pool are doing, two people in the suburbs are doing. They got the same job. They're making choices that keep them messed up.
And that's the thing. So that brings us full circle to what the young man said about the presence of a man is missing.
Right.
Because there's a certain thing on how to govern yourself and a certain influence that fathers have in the home.
Right.
And unfortunately, the narrative is that they are being dismissed. The narrative, is that they are not there. And the truth is, a lot of times they are forced out by the choice of the mother, or they've agreed to do something like that because of how government benefits are structured. I knew somebody who, a family member was in a relationship with a man. They had babies and all together, but they could never get married because if they did, housing would go away, all assistance would go away.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he didn't live with them for that purpose, so the kids can have something. That's the bad part.
I think in that particular situation, as a man, you got to say to yourself, I'm going to be better for my family than government assistance. And right. you got to tell your woman, listen, I'll go out and get what we need to get, so we don't need this government assistance. But I want you to have the honor of being a wife.
Well, but then I think, and I get that part.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what really happens.
I'm
gonna tell you what really happens in that situation. What happens is they get used to the additional income of the. So she making what she's making, he's making what he's making, and they got, we got this money over here too from the government, and they get used to that extra income instead of saying I'm willing to take a step back in lifestyle. I know people who the same situation you're talking make good money, but one person or the other in the situation will decide to not advance themselves because their next step isn't worth as much as what
That's
the
true.
government assistance is.
That's true.
So
That's true.
again, we're talking about a choice, not a forced choice, which goes back to the Moynihan report.
Yeah. Yeah.
We-
And I mean, you know what? I'm gonna give that to you, man. Yeah.
We know. I've done the math. The guy you like, I watched his show, Dr. Hassan Johnson. You
Yeah.
turned me on to him.
Mhm.
He said it's worth on average, about $35,000 a year.
Uh-huh.
So if you're a single woman, and you're raising your kids, and that government assistance is worth $35,000 a year, and you lucky enough to meet a man who also makes whatever he's making, that's what he's making, and with the government assistance coming in her household, she's not going to be quick to give that up.
No, people don't want to give up the power they already have.
But that because she's thinking to herself, yeah, he's a great addition, but if he walks away or leaves, I'm back messed up, and my family, I can't take care of my family. It's a fear-based decision, and I think part of that is back to toxic masculinity and all how it affects the toxic femininity that you brought up, and just our community's overall toxicity, where stepfathers don't even get the respect they deserve.
Bruh, I wish I'd have had that video queued up. And it was a real thing. The stepdaddy was asked the older son came to live back with them.
I seen that when he 29 or something, right? The kid,
and he was like, man, I ain't doing nothing. And the mama was just going along with it.
Yeah, she was like, he got to get out of here. And he was like, no, he don't. He can stay here whenever. He's like, nah, he's 29. He got to get his own place. He can stay here as long as he wants. So for him, him trying to be the man of that house, if I'm in his boat, I'm leaving.
Yeah, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it.
Oh, I don't have no say so here. I'm out of here. Or if hopefully he paid for the house, you get out of here and take your son with you.
No, matter of fact, it was her house.
Oh, he should have left.
And see, that was the thing. So then that goes back to what the young man said, is that toxic masculinity is the absence of masculinity.
Right.
And that's what happened, man. It was a pure absence.
Yeah. That's why I would tell any man at this point in our society, if this is a grown man and you meet a woman, don't move in her house.
No.
If you do, demand that your name be put on the lease. And if she already owned the house, then y'all might have to be a couple in two separate houses. I wouldn't move into her house. I wouldn't move into a house with a woman, especially one who has kids and all that, because she's always going to choose. And I'm not mad at her for this. She's always going to choose her children first.
That's right.
This is why people say men don't like to date single mothers. Well, not because no one has an issue with single mothers. No one thinks single mothers are bad or whatever. However, as a man, you know immediately if you go into a relationship with a woman, the highest number you can be is after all of her children. Because she after herself and all her children, she's gonna put herself and whatever number of children she have in front of you.
Yep.
That's the biggest number you can be. Well, if you do it the right way, which is, I'm single with no kids, you single with no kids, I take care of you. You're first in my life, I'm first in your life. And then we have the children, and together the children are first in our life. You can make that work. But if you come in after the fact and she's not willing to make you first in her life, y'all will never have. Y'all ain't gonna never have.
I think the big problem is, and even with the toxic masculinity and toxic and all of that, is I think that people have become too self-important. All the view is on self.
Right.
And that's not the way to get ahead.
No.
You have to look out.
Yes.
But people are afraid that if they look out and serve out, that they won't get anything back. But if everybody do that, then it's like, there's a story. And what it was that it was this table set, long table, people sitting across one another. But the issue was with the food is that all they had was long-handled spoons. So they could not feed themselves because the handles was too long. So what you were supposed to do is feed the person across from you.
Right.
And that's how everybody get to eat. But we don't
everybody has to agree. As soon as one person doesn't agree to that, both of y'all starve. And we got a lot of people in our current society are rather starve themselves than feed
Yeah.
you.
That's right.
Even though that's the only way we want to eat.
Uh-huh.
Everything is about, rather than being able to look at somebody across the head, I'm gonna pick up the spoon with my left and feed you. You pick up the spoon with your right and feed me. People will say, no, you feed me first, and then after I eat, I'll feed you. You got to trust me to feed you. Why? Why we can't make a deal here?
And see, most times how we describe masculinity is that masculinity is not selfish. It's not. And by nature, we not. Because even by definition, what we established earlier about protect and provide, that has nothing to do with you.
Right.
But the recipients of that must take on their roles too and take care of you. You know what? Like if we had, let's say if something like the purge was going on, and you know, when the purge come, people coming and trying to break in your house, and you had somebody out there at the gate to defend you, wouldn't you make sure that that person ate and they were straight? Because when they attack some, they can be strong and they gonna take care of you.
Yep. Look, it's a lot of, when it comes to this masculinity thing and this give and take between families and men and women. I think one of the it's just popped in my feed, one of the oddest videos, and it made so much sense. There was a woman, she goes, you know, a lot of women get mad about their husband or their boyfriend or whatever playing video games.
Yeah.
And she said, I don't care what my husband do. He go down in that man cave and he plays video games till he blue in the face. But guess what? He's done what he needed to do. That he has a man cave.
Yes.
If he's done what he needed to do for your family to have a home nice enough for him to have a man cave, which comes after a long list of other things for the family. The man cave is one of the things on the bottom of the list of the things in the house to get for a family. Everybody got their own room. It's extra bathroom. It's offices for work. Is a backyard. Is a sunroom. All of that come before a man can say, "Oh, and then I want this area to be mine."
Oh, but we get what's left.
We get what's
and
left.
You know what, bro? This is my man cave. I'm in a garage. I'm in the garage.
You had to steal it. You had to steal that space.
Man, look. What?
Probably had to build a carport outside just to get it.
Man, bro, if you only knew. But you know, I'm thankful. My wife is A1. I'm telling you, she is not like those other people you see out there, because she actually encourage it. You know what I'm saying? But about the game, I'm a gamer. I am. My wife don't give me no slack about that.
Because you know where you at.
But even then, here's the problem. Why must the alternative be that we gonna be out doing something wrong? Why must it be that? Why can't a man just have something? You know what? I like this.
Yeah.
And when I'm not protecting and providing, I want to do this.
Right. But the trip is,
why is that?
The reason you can do it is because you've already protected and provided. You already in a house. You already got lights, water, cable, phone. You can't game without Wi-Fi now. You got your family so secure to the point where you got extra Wi-Fi for you to game. You did it.
But here's the thing though, man. Why are we looked at as machines? We can't have a day off. We can't do things that we enjoy. You can't. Because if you do, then you're sorry. If you do, then you are a child or something is wrong with you. Why? The only acceptable things, there are only a few things that are acceptable for men to do. And it's one of them. It's one acceptable thing that society accepts for men to do.
What's
one,
that?
Sports. When football season come around, you can do whatever you want to do. You can have Super Bowl parties. You can watch football on Sundays all day and nobody say a word. But you mess around and turn the game system on for an hour or two. Oh, you a child, something wrong. But you know what? I'll tell you what. Anybody who has problems with that, y'all come and talk to me about it. Because me, as a man, I take care of my family. Matter of fact, you know what? And I'm not bragging on myself. My wife ain't got to work. And she not working. And I'm a gamer all day long. So what you gonna say? What you gonna say? I don't
Exactly.
live in the hood. I live in the suburbs. I don't. Look.
You know what I'm gonna say to that? Congratulations. That's what I'm gonna say to it, brother. You did what you're supposed to do. Yeah. Now let's go ahead and finish the video because the young man has some good stuff to say.
Let's go.
Want people to hear it.
And also, our definition of manhood, as I'm listening, is so individualized.
Ooh.
It's not culturally relevant at all. So our manhood as black people, even though we black, it don't relate to the black community. And so we're not talking about manhood from the perspective of a Malcolm X or Marcus Garvey or Nat Turner. We're talking about a Eurocentric manhood that's related to me and my family, maybe.
Hold on. All right. Now, my boy talked about this. T.S. Johnson talked about this, and it made so much sense. And definitely Dr. Tommy Carey. Oh, he is big. He don't do a lot of YouTube stuff, but yeah, that's the man right there. But anyway, is masculinity different based on your ethnicity? Is it different for white men than it is for black men? I'm going to say yeah.
Yes. Because a white man has the luxury, in my opinion, of being a man just for himself and just for his family.
Mm-hmm.
If he is a man just for himself and just for his family, he has done his duty. He is success. But for a black man, like he said, there's some kind of mythical obligation to the entire community.
Yeah. But you know what? I think that
I've heard people say, oh, it is irresponsible of a black man if he's single to not date a woman with kids because these kids need fathers.
Yeah, and they think that you're supposed to.
Right. And it's the thought of he's supposed to because he has some kind of obligation to the community. The problem is the community currently is women and children.
Yep.
Black men are almost outside of, quote unquote, the community.
Well, that's what them ladies said on Fox Soul, you know, that when Ice Cube tried to come with his stuff, you know, that they separate.
Right.
They said it.
They said it.
The thing is, and what's really hurtful is one, yeah, we are considered separate or they are considered separate. But all of the blame for everything rests on the shoulders of the black man.
Right.
And I mean, I could go deep into this thing, and I don't think we're going to take it here now with the whole feminism thing and all of that.
No, we still got a whole other topic to do today.
Because stuff is different. You know, being a man in the black community is way different than being a man in the white community. But I do think we have a lot of similarities, and then there are certain points where it branches off, right, and it's differences. And in our community, because we have to overcome so many other things, right, that they don't. So many other, and first of all, the biggest thing we have to overcome is what's in the house with us. We got to overcome that. You know, not being seen as, oh man, I'm not even gonna take. That's a whole nother thing too.
That's another topic. I know where you're trying to go, brother. We're not gonna do that today.
No,
I know where you're trying to go, brother. I already know, and we got to go there at some point because we can't keep glazing by the top. Hey, we're gonna finish today. We're gonna finish letting this young brother say what he got to say.
He got to keep reining me in, boy. I tell you what, I'm gonna
be good. Finish letting this young brother say what he got to say, and when it's time to broach that topic, we're gonna head long into it. We might have to do that topic on like a Wednesday night or something. We got to get the people involved.
Oh Lord, have mercy. You know what? All right, I'm gonna give it up, man. Let's go. All right, play.
But not related to my community and what my community needs from me as a man. Amen. And that's the type of man that Malcolm X was. That's the type of man that came before us. Men that strive to be what our community needed. It was willing to pay the price for whatever they had to do for that. So I just wanted to say that conversations like this are great. But when I host a thing called Man to Man, and it's about black manhood, and what I would say is that most men, black men, are really struggling from a lack of an identity and trying to figure that out on their own. And we as black people don't supply that. But when they step off the wrong path, we quick to say, you toxic, you need to get yourself together. All right, so man to man.
I 100% agree with him. That's basically what you just said. We don't supply an avenue for men, an example for men to be, but we quick to blame men for any and every issue in the black community. At the same time, proudly standing up and saying the black community is a matriarch.
It is.
So, okay, so if the black community is a matriarch, how then are black men responsible for all the problems in the black community?
You know what? He who has the power sets the rules. Or it says gold, who has the gold set the rules. And right now, you know, our black women have all the gold. Now, many would come on here and say that that's not true because of intersectionality, which is a whole crock of you know what. Because discrimination is not multiplicative. It doesn't multiply. If somebody don't like you or you getting discriminated against, the discrimination is the same. It don't multiply. They're not going to discriminate you extra because you are a woman and you black. That's dumb. But the thing is, when you're on the outside looking in, everybody looks like they have it going on.
Right.
But there is a severe lack of empathy in the community. It's an empathy, and I'm going to say from both sides, for men and women, it's an empathy toward ourselves to know, okay, you know what? They do have to deal with this. But I say in earnest, right now, our black brothers, sisters, all of them, they holding all the cards. If they want to go to college, they got so many scholarships, they don't even have to pay for school.
Right.
It's their full rise to do whatever they want to do.
That part, okay, fine. Fine. I'm okay with that. Okay, they got more opportunities to go to school. Cool, great.
What about your boy? What about when he want to go to school?
And I simply say, I will take that responsibility. If I know the rule, I don't care what the rules are as long as I know them. You telling me my daughter can go to school for free and I might pay for my son? Well, I'm prepared to pay for them both. So I just take that money I have for my daughter. I take a portion of that and put more towards my son. That's fine because she got to go for free. I'm cool with that. I don't care but that's me as an individual. Everybody doesn't have that luxury. But I'm simply saying, let the rules be set. Whatever they're going to be, let them be set. Anytime the rules are set, black men excel. The problem is the moving goalposts. The problem ain't the rules as they are. If you telling me as a man, I need to be this, and this. You telling me these are the resources available to me, and you say go, I'm fine with that. I'm ready to go. But don't keep moving the damn goalposts on me.
I mean, and
I feel
that's
like
true.
I feel like that is the biggest issue for men right now. Because at one point the goal was get your high school education, get you a good job, make you some money, take care of your family. That's not the goalpost anymore. The goalpost now is you ain't a good man unless you can provide a luxury lifestyle.
Yeah.
If you can't buy a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house in the suburbs, 2 cars in the garage, Wi-Fi throughout, basement, all that. If you can't put your woman fly, she can't live luxury, pay for everything, hair done, nails done, everything did, all of that. You at this point, society look like a bum if you're a man. So the issue isn't what the rules are. The issue is the moving goalposts.
Well, here's the big part that many people don't consider. The psychological effect on the boys that's coming up. Hence, the effect of the future men.
Right.
And when I learned this, and I may have told you the story before, but I'm going to say it again very briefly. Teaching at a school, and they wanted to do a club with girls who code. Computer coding. STEM. Girls who code. They named it Girls Who Code. They had a lot of girls sign up, but there was this one boy who said, I want to learn how to code, but I can't because it says girls. Then the lady was like, she had to think about it. Oh, yeah, you can do it. But he was the one that asked. What about all the other boys who missing exposure to coding who didn't ask?
Right.
They thinking it's not for them. That is what I have the issue with. Because what happens is the world thinks that men are way up here, women are down here. And of course, and that may be the case. But when it's kids, When it's kids, guess what? They the same.
Well, honestly, girl, that's wrong. Women aren't way down here and men are way up here. 1% of men
But they
are
say
way
that.
up here. 1% of men are way up here. The average man doesn't have any influence or power over a woman.
No.
None. Zero. The top, 1-2% of men have power and influence over everyone.
That's right.
But the average man doesn't have any extra power or control over a woman or has any ability to deny a woman anything. It just doesn't exist. And that idea that there's some power men or some advantage men, average men and average family that boys have is just wrong. It's simply wrong.
It is. It is. And that's why I say we
your
start
regular
off at
school,
the same level.
Start at the same level. And even go through life at the same level with the exception of the top 1%. And it's just that's it. The top 1% of men, you're right. Those men have power over women and everybody else too. And all the other men too.
You know
There's
why?
no difference.
Because their currency is
Power.
But the person who they have influence over.
Right.
If somebody coming with resources, they ain't gonna tell them no.
Right.
But this is my problem with what I said though. But do you see how these young men are being affected by that?
Of course.
And because of that, you know what I did? I went to the website of Girls Who Code and I looked at the about page. And the lady that made the site, she said, in her own words, girls will always come first. If it comes down between a boy and a girl, she always gonna go with the girl. So you got an organization who intentionally cut out boys from learning how to code.
Then I will say this. I'm not mad at that organization. I will say it is incumbent upon a man like yourself or men in that field to come up with a group for boys who code.
But look at this though. They have, and it was shot down. Matter of fact, Obama made this whole thing. My Brother's Keeper was about, men and boys.
Right.
And that didn't last long. You know why? Because they said it had to include girls. And they got rid of it. That's what I'm saying. So what it is that our boys are being affected because being a man is not promoted. And again, like the brother said, you don't know what it is. It's different definitions all the way around. But I do have contention. He picked the definition and went with it. And you know what? That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna recant that. I can't even fuss with it. That's what I would do.
I know. I think I know where you're going with that. With what he said, there's a couple of things he said that I think he didn't. I think he just didn't have opportunity in the platform he was into fully define what he was trying to say. I think if he had more time and more opportunity, he probably would have said some things differently. But he was trying to, squeeze his point down into like it was a room full of people. Everybody probably wanted an opportunity to speak. So he was probably trying to be, mindful of that and make a concise point, which I think he did, which basically was manhood is not defined or taught in our community.
That's
which
right.
is correct. And also a lot of the things that we do teach in our community is what not to do and or is toxic.
Yeah. So they tell you what not. You know what? And this is, I'm going to say this then, man, we can move on, man. It's like people in general always say what they're not going to do. But a key part of communication is telling people what you can do.
Right.
And they teach you this. If you're doing sales, you never tell somebody, oh, we can't do that. Because they're framing it in a negative way. But if you say, you know what, this is what we can do. Correct.
I mean, it's a whole better. I was talking to a young lady once, and she was describing what she wanted in a man. And all she did was run off a list of what she didn't want.
Yeah.
That's all she did. And I said, what do you want? Well, she said, if I told somebody what I don't want, then that only leaves what I want. I said, no, I leave a whole bunch of stuff. And then I ran off this whole long list of things she didn't say that were extremely negative that a man could have been. And she was like, oh, yeah, you're right. Yep. So leaving out what you do want or what is accepted, it just don't make, yeah, I know, I got you. It leaves too much room for a lot of other stuff. Oh, he got to make money. Or I don't want a man that don't have no money. Okay, well, do you mind how he gets the money? How about saying I want a man that has a job and make money legally? And just saying I want a man that has money. It leaves too much room, too much wiggle room. Be specific about the requirements, which is what I think my man was saying, that we aren't specific about the requirements of manhood, and there's just a lot of stuff left out there in the blue. And we as a community have to take the time to define what we're looking for men and from men, so we can actually build solid men. And that's what we're going to continue to do here on this platform, is try to build men, build better men. And I just want to commend the young man for being willing to step up in that room and say what he had to say.
Yeah.
I think he said something of value. And like you said, I think there's a lot of space on TikTok and YouTube for what they're calling the manosphere now. Yeah. And I'm grateful to it. As a man, I'm grateful to it. And I hope more and more people take time to see that. Right. One, it's a lot of men struggling with a lot of things. And two, there's a lot of good men out here trying to do the right thing.
That's right. Hey, man, so I just had some stuff come up, man, so I'm going to have to sign it off.
Yes, hey, gotta do what you gotta do, brother.
Yeah, man.
We did an hour. We sorry, everybody who's looking for the Hoochie Daddy shorts. We'll get back to
come back next week.
Yeah, we come back next week. Maybe we'll do a special broadcast this week. Thank y'all for joining us. We love you. We out.
Later.